Super OP.
Excuse me.
All right. I am just going to literally toss questions out there, and you guys get to answer them. That is my job tonight.
I love it.
Oh, great.
I love it.
None of us know about the Rhett battle engine then.
What is RET? A RET battle engine? Wow.
All right. 5. Okay, everybody be quiet. Go for it.
Yeah.
Recording live from the Haley Sisters Memorial Studios, straight out of lovely Elmont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your unofficial Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the Death Clock starts now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Death Clock. 2 podcasts in a row.
And I'm here for this one.
Holy crap! We've
All
managed.
3 of us.
We're back on the train, the wagon train of making podcasts.
I prefer it. I like the routine.
Oh,
the podcast.
that's all it is the routine for you.
Oh, that's one of the things
Is
I
that
enjoy
what
about
we've
it.
become?
We're just a routine.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
comfortable for you.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like missionary, then doggy, then done. That's. I don't even know where that was going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too hardcore into the stuff, I got to introduce my co-host.
The cheese and the drugs.
Exactly. On my left, your right, the one and only Maelstrom, you're back.
I'm back. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Hey, you played more games in the last week
Right?
than Will has played in the 3 months.
It's true.
This
It's
is true. Yeah.
It's true. And we're going to talk about those games because you had some wild, wicked, fun
Some
games.
amazing, wild,
Super-
wicked games.
And many photos of you hugging people came out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I do.
Good.
Hug it out, bitch.
All right, on my right, your left, the one and only semi-automatic,
Hello,
George
hello.
Schweitzer. George, it's good to see you. We were
Yeah.
here last week. We talked about stuff.
We
Sorry
did
for the
some
delay.
painting stuff.
Yeah, sorry for the delay on getting that podcast out, but we'll get that out tomorrow probably.
No, it's already out
Oh.
on Muse.
It's out on Muse. Oh,
Well, I mean, it should be out in the feed by now.
no, we'll figure it out. And one of our regular guests pretty much should just be considered a co-anchor guest. A co-anchor. We bring him in, our reporter in the field.
The new King of the North.
The only,
No, God, no, stop that.
the one
No, no,
and
no.
only Matthew McNew, King of the North.
No,
Yeah,
please, God, no.
I'm just trying to summon Bubba. I'm
yeah.
just waiting.
It'll take him seconds if he
Yeah.
hears that from legend.
So, legitimately, all of those people posting that are just, like, stirring the pot
Oh, yeah.
so hard.
Isn't that what War Machine players do?
I think that's what they do in between games.
Yeah.
Are you expected more from us?
I mean, I don't know what I
He,
expected.
he hoped. He hoped for more.
He hoped for more and got less. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've got a few things to run through. We're going to talk a bit about the guys' experience at TGX this weekend. We brought Matt on specifically because he did okay at that.
And he played in all of them, so
and-
he'll be able to give us
Yeah,
an idea.
exactly. He'll give us some idea as to what happened there. We're going to be talking there's some big news coming out of PP this week. We've got the Rhett CID, the Supreme Guardian. We got to see what that crap is going to look like. Gen Con is coming up this weekend. And Crucible Guard has been released, and we've started seeing armies become reality. Tonight's roundtable is going to be on the TGX. We're going to discuss what happened there. And finally, tonight's focus, we're going to talk about getting better, becoming a better player, even if you don't have 1,000 people to play against.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Before we get started on all that, let's just sort of go over briefly how everybody's week was. Did anybody get any games since TGX in? No.
No, unfortunately, we had I'd say a lot of us who took extra time to go to TGX didn't get any games in at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately have been on the road for 3 months, and now when Monday came along, I decided that I was going to go to Out of the Box on Tuesday, and then Tuesday came along and it got shifted.
Should have come on Monday.
So we're working it out. I'll hopefully get some games in next week. I'm actually going to sit down and do some painting tomorrow because I finished my projects up early this week. Let's go over the news. Ret CID. Now, here's the problem that we have as Moose Machine talking about anything Retribution. We don't know any Retribution players. We don't play against Retribution
Hey,
ever.
I know a Retribution.
A
player.
He doesn't play War Machine right now.
It's not playing.
No, Shane plays War Machine.
Okay.
Not right now. He doesn't.
Oh no.
So I don't know. Let's go over to Matt because Matt's probably the only one with any intelligent knowledge on this. Matt, did you have a chance to look at the Ret CID at all? Any comments?
Yeah. So the Red CID kind of went through a few phases where, I don't know. So Red had a few main problems before the CID. The problems mainly are model accessibility in theme, points costs, and flexibility of your themes. So like, as an example, Dawn Guard, which is has Dawn Guard Sentinels in it, obviously, is super good, but it has no flexibility in what's allowed. You have Sentinels, Invictors, and Death Doors. So your theme ends up without like tools. You're just like, I play these 3 sets of models. That's my entire army. Oh, hi, Becky.
And a random Becky appears.
Hi. There's a dog. Can we replace the host with the dog?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the dog probably has more
Would
War
have more
Machine
War
knowledge.
Machine knowledge.
So, anyways, what ends up happening is that you end up with themes that are like monodirectional, similar to how Khador themes work. Is that they ask and answer very specific questions. So what the CID kind of tried to do was change the monodirection of these themes. So in Shadows, you saw Strike Force gaining CRA and magical weapons. So they're CRA blessed magical, which opens up the door for them to be able to do reasonable damage to high defense models. Like Rat 6 isn't impressing anyone. And like they're already Jack Hunter, so they kill Jacks reasonably well. Now you can be shooting War Beasts with POW 20 CRAs or something like that. So that makes the theme a lot more flexible, obviously. Additionally, you saw their free points change and some like new solos added everywhere. The new battle engine for Ret, the Wave Serpent. Strictly
Better Seraph.
Strictly
the,
Bear Seraph. Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called. The gunny floaty tank.
Yep.
Has like a bunch of really cool flexible abilities. The main problem with it is how it fits into the theme force it's allowed in. That being Dawn Guard. And hello. It's also allowed in a couple other places, but the key component of it is it does bring guns to Dawn Guard, which is really cool. The Trident, good call.
Yeah.
Additionally, Destors got real good, real fast. Like dual attack, auto hitting guns on things they hit with charge attacks, all really good. So yeah, I think the overall changes are very positive. I know that a lot of Ret players wanted even more things, right? Like everyone wants more things to be changed, but I'd say like start testing there, and if you find yourself unable to answer questions still, maybe next time a CID comes around, be more active.
Yeah.
And as we always point out with CID, the hardest part with CID is participation, and then the weird offshoot of CID is people getting excited about things that don't actually exist, or getting mad about things that don't actually exist.
Meaningful participation is usually even harder.
Yeah. And we've had lots of the PP guys on the show, and they just keep trying to actually get people to participate and do and have meaningful games before you judge.
Start wish listing.
But
I think that
sorry.
I think that one of the main things when we talk about CID is that people have this idea of what their faction should be, what should be changed, what models need. Points reductions, added rules removed, whatever. And when these models go into CID, the people that want these changes don't get involved. Or like if they do get involved, they fabricate stories. And like you can tell real easily when a story is fabricated in War Machine, or like something is just made to confirm a bias. So like if you think like this thing should gain 2 extra inches of range and it would be better that way, propose the theory and test it extravagantly, test it a lot. And like chances are you'll get a response from Privateer Press about why it's not that way, or they'll adjust rules. I know when I was participating in the Crucible Guard CID, every change I wanted, I pretty much got because I tested it and proposed why the change would be good. Like be an honest contributor and chances are you'll get positive change.
Talking about being an honest contributor, because I'm hearing a lot of information coming from all the anger coming from a lot of factions and a lot of happiness coming from one faction. Let's talk about the Supreme Guardian.
Oh yeah.
So Supreme Guardian was the rules for Supreme Guardian were released.
Yep.
For testing. I believe it was today.
Yep.
Yes.
So George, do you want to go through kind of what the Supreme Guardian is?
Sure. He is I have all of the different types battle engine. He's a Scorn Exalted Ancestral Guardian battle engine. Obviously, we're talking about for Scorn. He has, 30
boxes?
Yeah, 30 boxes. It's hard to tell on these forms. And he's Speed 6, Strength 12, Mat 7, Rat 6.
It's really not that hard. Under
Yeah.
damage, it tells you exactly how many boxes he has.
I hadn't gotten that far down. And in Arm 19, and importantly, Command 10. So that's a really huge bubble off of a 5-inch base.
Especially when you start realizing what his big powers are.
Yeah. So he's a construct. Surprise, surprise. He has defensive strike and divine inspiration. So basically, he gets an additional die in melee attack and damage rolls. Discard the lowest die of each roll.
Signs importance. Melee attack and damage roll.
Yeah. So he has native signs importance.
Wow.
But don't worry, it's not called signs importance.
No.
That way you can put
So
things
it's stacked.
on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You
Like
can
signs
stack
importance.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, why his command is important is he has Soul Taker Gatekeeper. Now, I don't know what the differentiation is for Gatekeeper, whether that's just a special name for his. But he gets destroyed model soul tokens within command range, just like normal. And I assume he'll be affected by Zal2 and all the normal soul snagging shenanigans. And with those souls, he has Arcane Vortex, which is like all the others, model within 3-inch. But of course, again, this is a 5-inch base. Yeah. So within 3 inches is a lot of space.
Yeah.
Soul powered, so he can spend soul tokens to make additional attacks. And Vault of the Faithful, because, why not be Menoth? During your maintenance phase, you can remove up to 3 soul tokens from this model. Return 1 destroyed, smaller, medium-based, friendly faction, grunt, warrior model to play for each token removed. Models return with 1 unmarked damage box. Replace the returned grunts completely within this model's command range.
Which is most of the board.
Yeah.
In formation and completely within 3 inches of another model in their unit. Standard returned grunts must forfeit their combat actions the turn they are returned to play. Not combat or movement, just combat. He is a soul vessel, so you kill him, you'll get that 1 soul for 16 points.
Woot woot.
And he has,
Not you. Only, sorry, not enemy models.
Yes, because he has soul ward.
Right.
As well.
So only
Enemy
only
models cannot
friendly
gain
people.
soul tokens
right.
from models destroyed in this model's command range. He has the first Reach 3 weapon, I think, that they've done. So it's not a chain weapon. It's
Just a
actually
Reach
just
3.
straight Reach 3.
It's a big ass sword.
Yep.
It is. It's a.
What does he got to make that fucking 3-inch weapon ridiculous, George?
Well, he has Thresher
Yeah.
and Siege weapon and magical. Because somebody saw Crix and said, you know
Fuck
what?
you.
You know what really fucks a Crix battle engine? A giant guy with a magical sword. That looks like it'll fuck him up hard.
What's the base speed on him?
Speed 6.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So
So have you met
go
all
ahead.
the speed buffs in Zal2's list?
Yeah, I have, actually.
So
a couple things with this guy. He doesn't have Pathfinder.
No.
yeah,
first of
that's weird.
It's the second huge base, I want to say,
Purposely.
without Pathfinder. The first one being a Wraith engine, which has Incorporeal instead.
Yeah.
Second of all, he is the second model in the game that returns models at a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 soul per model returned. The first one being the Menoth Shrine of the Lawgiver.
Yep.
So there's a couple really weird interactions with how this guy works. First of all, being no Pathfinder is really awkward, really, really bad. It means he can't charge over walls.
Yeah.
Means that you have to be very careful with his placement. It doesn't matter that he's speed 6 when he goes absolutely nowhere. His gun, which is range 10, power 14, AoE 4, is pretty good, and it also causes continuous fire just in the AoE. And a 3-inch melee weapon's new and interesting, I guess. Siege weapon on it is kind of awkward. Thresher's fine. And then his soul cap is 3 soul tokens.
Mhm.
So he does have a cap for his damage output. He will one round almost every colossal in the game. And he's a construct. So that's real cool for Zol 2. I mean, being casual armor 24 and being able to buy and boost. Oh, he's not a warrior model. He cannot buy and boost. Or he cannot boost off of Zol 2's Fury.
He has to use his own.
Yes, he uses those.
So,
Finally, the last cool interaction here is that he does have defensive strike, which is really dumb when you're trying to kill something and he just a 3-inch reach guy punches you over the line of your guys with signs importance.
yeah. I just want to quickly. Something was just said in the chat regarding, once again, we, the rest of the community, complain that Scorn should never have anything good. I don't think that's what we're doing here. I think it's really cool that Scorn is getting this super big, awesome 3-inch reach machine of death. I think he's really good. I don't think anybody's complaining, not on this side of the board anyway,
Yeah.
that this model is not reasonable. But I think he's really good. But I don't think we're complaining that Scorn shouldn't have anything good.
Yeah, we want it to be good,
Yeah.
but there's certain things that this is CID, and usually what
Yes.
happens is when they first put a model like this out, I found anyway, they tend to make it a little bit just tweaked a little bit on the overpowered side
When they're starting off.
when
yeah.
they're starting it off, and I think that helps because it helps to be able. It's easier to draw something back than it is to,
So
to push things forward. So I don't know if it's overpowered. I got to see it be played on the table.
Exactly.
So I think that Soul Taker Gatekeeper is really awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. It has a 10-inch command, which is huge. Like, that's half the table, right? Like, 25 inches off of
Off
a
a
huge
5-inch base, yeah.
25 inch, that's huge.
Yep.
That's functionally, you park it near the middle, it touches the whole board, and it just denies souls for your opponent. Like, no souls for you. And then it returns models at a 1-to-1 ratio. I don't know, it's allowed in Masters of War, so you can return 1 Cetrati per 1 Cetrati that dies, which is kind of it, like, it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's too good or too bad or awkward or anything like that. I don't like when you have a 1-to-1 ratio per model that dies. I feel like that was Convergence's thing with Souls and Enigma Foundries, and it was only okay because they were bringing back weird, awkward models that couldn't really do anything. But when you're instead bringing back Cetrati or Immortals or other models that are actually super scary, it's interesting. No Pathfinder puts a big limitation on it.
Yeah.
We'll probably see something happen, like it can spend a soul to gain Pathfinder or something like that. That would be my guess.
Is there any way, Matt, for it to gain Incorporeal and Scorn? I don't know Scorn well enough to...
Morgul 2
Okay.
can give it Shadow Play, where it gains Incorporeal during your turn.
Okay.
That is all.
Right.
Well, there we go. Any other George?
Nope.
Are you
Seems
excited?
good.
Are you excited about it? I
Oh,
mean, are
absolutely.
you gonna put him in with your Scorn and McScornersons
Yes.
and play it?
Absolutely.
Good.
So-
So George
I-
is switching factions again.
I
Again,
worry
yeah.
that I am going to have less little Scorny guys because I have to include big Scorny guys because I like having 30 Immortals
30
on the
Immortals.
table.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is another thing that's a really weird balancing point with it, is that it does occupy a really weird point slot in like the Zol list as an example. It costs 16 points, which is roughly the same cost as Immortals for a
Yeah.
full unit.
Yeah.
So it replaces an entire unit in your list, which, like, honestly, that's a lot of models to lose out on. It's 11 potential souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 11 PAL 13 attacks, or 10 PAL 13 attacks.
Yeah.
Because you got the UA.
So it has its pluses and its negatives, like most War Machine
I'm
models.
finding that no Pathfinder thing really weird.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
somebody mentioned that it was brought up to Will Pagani, and he said that it was done that way for a reason.
yeah. So we may see some changes to the Exalted theme to like accommodate. We may see some changes to casters to accommodate. We may see a new solo to accommodate, or it may just be the downside of bringing a Speed 6 Range 3 Colossal to
Yeah.
Scorn.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like if you do Speed 6 Range 3 is pretty good, especially if you have other speed boosts in your arsenal.
Especially with Thresher
is there
on that
is there
weapon.
any other caster that gives away Pathfinder? That's
No.
the other no.
No.
Okay. All right, so let's move on. Gen Con's coming up next week. Gen
It
Con's.
is.
So Jason, you're excited about the beer model?
The beer model?
Yeah. Gen Con's when they release the beer.
The Thag.
We don't know what it is as far as I
Yeah,
know.
we don't.
Yeah, I think that was spoiled during Lock and Load.
Was it?
It's maybe it was the Monpok model.
Are they doing
The
a
beer
Montauk
grosh.
this
It's
year?
basically beer grosh. It's like the Cthulhu thing from Monster Apocalypse, but it's drinking a huge keg of beer.
That's funny.
I hadn't realized that they weren't doing a War Machine one this year.
Oh, they probably are. I'm not sure if that was. I remember Dallas showing it kind of sneakily during Lock and Load, so I'm not sure. We might have a different one for War Machine as well. I'm not sure.
Crucible Guard is finally released. I mean, we haven't had a chance to talk. It's
Currently
releasing.
releasing. We don't have it all yet.
So we don't have it all yet, but people are starting to get their toys and they're starting to put together their lists. And we talked about this last week. Now the stores are getting the full release, and it's not going through. It's not gatewayed through.
Black Heavy
Black-
Industries
yeah.
or Black Heavy Anchor.
Yeah,
like Anchor.
Black
like,
Anchor
like
Heavy
whatever
Industries.
something or other.
Bahi.
That has a lot. Hey,
Brew
I mean,
Garage.
we have we seen anybody playing Crucible Guard in tournaments yet?
Thank you, Legionnaires.
I think she got legal at TGX like the day before.
Yeah.
No, the week before, right? It wasn't the Friday or the Friday of TGX. It was the week before that.
John Henry Jr. was playing Crucible Guard.
Yeah,
at TGX.
yeah. There was the Army box released on Friday, I think.
Yeah, and
Sounds
the cast.
the Friday before.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that Friday. It was a week before.
Yeah.
It was that and Locke as the two casters.
Right.
And was it good?
Crucible Guard?
Yeah.
I have yet to play against it. It looks very good. Matt, have you played against it yet?
Yeah, I have
sorry.
a lot of games with and against them.
Have you played against the final set yet? Is what I should have said.
the final set?
The
Like
post CID rules.
The post CID rules.
Yeah. I mean, like I have my Crucible Guard on my shelf over there, that I picked up at Lock and Load.
Nice.
But yeah, they're super good. They're like Signar or Mercs. They have a lot of flexibility. The two casters that are out, Silvestro and Locke, are both kind of like paragons of specific archetypes, and they run them remarkably well. And even with the limited model release, they could field an army that's as competitive as any top tier army right now.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Solid.
They are missing some key components like mechanics, as an example,
Mm.
but like they're super good. I highly recommend the faction to anyone looking to get into a kind of like assembly line war machine where to kill models you have to apply this thing, then that thing, then that thing, and then like based on applying those in that order, you either succeed or fail.
Okay.
They're real cool.
They sound cool.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on to tonight's roundtable because I know you're all dying to talk about your TGX experiences. Well, first off, what is TGX?
Who you asking?
I don't know which one.
Tabletop Gaming Expo.
There we go.
It's a convention that Scott Tellerico has been championing.
Championing?
He also runs it.
Yeah. And I think the World Ender was at that as well. So the
Yes.
finals of the World Ender is at TGX.
Gotcha.
So there was 3 game systems.
Yes.
4 game systems. There was War Machine, Warhammer 40K, Infinity, and Hobbit.
Yes.
4 game systems.
4 game systems.
It was held in Mississauga, Ontario. the order of the War Machine tournaments, which is what this podcast is about, right, was LCQ day 1. This is the last chance to qualify for World Ender. The team tournament, where the top 2-ish teams, ends up being 3, but that's an aside, get qualified for the World Ender. And then the World Ender is on the final day, which is a 16-man solo Masters event with some of the best players pretty much in Canada and a lot of the good ones from America as well.
A quick shout out to Blackfire Productions, who are doing The Hobbit. They're great guys that I have had a lot of good talk with.
That's the one that plays just like football, where Rudy runs down the field at the end.
Oh my god. That's going to make no sense to anybody.
No, it totally makes sense. Everybody will understand the Rudy reference. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about everybody's experiences. Jason,
Yeah.
What time did your experience start?
What happened?
So
What happened?
So I picked up Marc-Andre Leblanc in Canada, about half an hour from where I lived, Thursday night around 7. We got back to my place around 8. We played a game. I lost, surprisingly.
Really?
But I gave him a good show. Well, I mean, I did good. I did better than I thought I would.
He's a very graceful.
I'm pretty
winner.
sure he was playing with kid gloves.
Yeah, you don't want to piss off the guy you're sleeping in their house.
Yeah, exactly. And so we decided collectively, for some reason, that we would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and head off to Mississauga, because it's a 4.5-hour drive, and because Friday rush hour traffic and so on forth, and we needed some extra time to get there. So yeah, we woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I picked up George and our buddy Matt Hoole, and we headed off to Mississauga. It was a long trip. Early in the morning.
Do you remember your games?
Yeah, I do, actually, surprisingly, because I was not really awake.
And not hammered enough for this?
No, the bar didn't open till like 11 or something. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
So my first game was against a rather nice gentleman named Eric McDavies, who was playing Circle. I don't get to play against Circle that much, and I saw his pairing was Una 2 and Bradagus, I believe. And I was like, well, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'll just drop Darkos, because that's Coven Darkos is the list I feel most comfortable with. I was also playing Denny 1 Scourge, but I had a bunch of the new solos that I hadn't played yet. And I got Topitude by Tuna, because that's what Tuna do. Even under Coven's feet.
Wow.
Yeah, so I couldn't be targeted with outside of 5 inches. Still didn't matter. I still got Tuna's.
So she just flew over there.
Yeah, the stones ported one of the birds, I think, and then he ran another one to get the flank bonus, and it had Hand of Fate and gang. And it was. I still had like 5 focus on Egregore, so I thought, well, maybe if he gets one bird on me, I'll be safe. No, I was not safe. It was bad. It was really bad. So I congratulated him on his very quick win. Super nice guy.
And the bar still wasn't open.
All of my games, spoiler, only lasted 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think you played less rounds in the entire
I played 4 rounds
TGX
total.
than I think.
Yeah,
Matt played in
8 rounds
game 1.
total, yeah. So my second game was versus Jason Lucas from Battle Driven, which was just an awesome game. I love Jason. He's a super cool dude. He's hilarious. He was playing Menoth. He dropped Severius, and I dropped Coven Darkhost again. And he mistakenly left an opening that a Wraith engine could fit into within 2 inches of Severius.
And that was bad?
And that was the end of that. I spiked the first damage roll. I think I rolled 665 on the charge attack. Left Sevi on 1 box. And yeah, second attack hit, and that was the end of that. Because it was like dice +3 or something. So Jason, yeah, he took it like a sport. I'm pretty sure he's got some words for me on the next episode of Battle Driven.
Or at least about you.
About me, yeah. But yeah, it was a fun game, and Jason's a great guy. Third game, I played Elaine Wright from Kingston, Ontario. who's quite the card.
The infamous
The
Elaine.
infamous Elaine. He was playing Scorn. He had 2 casters. I don't get to play against Scorn at all, so I had no idea what to expect. He ended up dropping Zal 2.
I like that you specified he had 2 casters. Though.
2 casters.
He had 2 casters in his
yeah,
list.
he had 2
Could have
casters.
had one. Like I think it wasn't DNC.
No,
No, you still had
could
to have
one.
2 for your list to be league.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He ended up dropping Zal 2, and I dropped Coven Dark Host because, again, that was just the list I felt most comfortable about. Turns out that that's a terrible list to drop. I pretty much got tabled that game because, like, 40 Immortals or whatever it was.
It's only
and
30.
30, and yeah, he had Orin Midwinter in the list as well, so I couldn't even go for the spell assassination because he still had all his power tokens, and it was bad. I think he ended up winning on scenario like pretty handily.
Just pushing you out of all the zones.
Yeah, pushing me out, and I just couldn't, he pretty much tabled me. I had very little left by the end of the second round. My 4th game was against Andrew Nairn, who's a super cool dude too. He was having a rough day. He was 0-3, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he was playing Khador Armored Core, and I feel pretty comfortable into Khador at this point,
Really?
which we'll go into later. So I just dropped Dark Host again, and it was bad. He tried to do a Rue Goldberg assassination and kind of bulldoze all my shit out of the way because he had the bulldozing jack.
tankers.
Yeah, the tankers.
Or the jack.
The jack. It was the
Oh,
jack.
okay.
The Spriggan, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ended up taking 2 free strikes, and the second free strike he took, he lost his movement on the jack.
Ooh,
That was the end of that. He just conceded after that. But we played out anyway as if he had made it, and yeah, the assassination wouldn't have worked. The Coven still had like 10 boxes, I think, total. So yeah, but those were my 4 games. All great opponents. Super fun time.
Nice. Jorge, what did you play? Khador?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
You're surprised?
No,
I
not
don't know
really.
why.
No, I'm not at all.
I played Vlad 2 Armored Core and Butcher 3 Jaws of the Wolf.
Mhm.
It was a lot of fun. This was my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th games with Vlad 2. Never played him before. He seems good.
Seems good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt's just sitting there,
Matt's like,
eyes closed.
Having a nap.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. I won't take a long time because we have to push through here. But my notable games were I got to play Evan from Arcane Assist, and he showed me what Lock can do
In Convergence.
in Convergence. Yeah. Which is be amazing.
So you're switching in Convergence next week?
What do you mean next?
He
week?
already
has.
Yeah.
That's what that cast.
I
was,
watched that, and there was some major shit pushing going on in that game.
when you
It
can
was ridiculous.
when you can run a redlined Prime Axiom 14 inches and then jackhammer it like
Yeah.
7 times.
Oh
or
my
something.
god.
It's kind
So
of
good.
stupid.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was lucky. I got to play a lot of different people. I got to play Convergence, Scorn, and Khador, which was my last game I played against Tool. And what am I missing?
Things and stuff.
No, I'm just trying to think of what my
What was your
other
first game?
was. It's completely
Scorn.
gone. out of my
Scorn
head.
was your
Riveting.
Scorn was my first game
There you
because I killed both. The tankers are good against huge bases, surprisingly, and they just tend to sort of melt off the table. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and apparently I have no recollection of it.
That's all right. Because who we
Gotta
really
choose
want to
one.
talk to about games
Yeah,
is
Somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking.
Yeah.
yeah, not us.
Matt, how did you do? I heard you did, okay.
I won the World Ender. My team won the team tournament, and I lost to Jake in the finals of the Last Chance qualifier. It was a really good weekend. I had a lot of fun. I played a lot of memorable games. A lot of games that came down to turn 7 second tiebreakers, or third tiebreakers. Did you know the fourth tiebreak is models and zones?
Is
I didn't know that.
really? I had no idea.
It'd be hilarious if it's just a head count too. Like,
Models and zones.
oh, you have 3 models in the zone. Like, not points, just like.
Yep.
Yeah, just
It's
that many
literally a
models.
head count.
That's hilarious.
Yep. So funny stories from TGX. I shared a room with Jake, and we the night we showed up. So I drove up with a couple of my Montreal locals, and we got up there. We drank in the bar, had a good time.
Somehow you woke up with Jake Van Meter. Got it.
Yeah, sharing a bed. He slept like a robot. It was
Oh my
kind
God,
of
I'm
awkward.
so jealous. I mean,
Jason's been trying to do that for years.
Years.
Hey, Jake, want to go drinking?
moving along.
So LCQ, I play a lot of really hard games. I end up playing Jake in the finals, where he just shit stomps me. I lost the world to go. I won the world to go first. Give him second, and he put me on a side where there was a house and a piece of water that funneled my army, and meant that I couldn't contest his zone on Mirage, which means I automatically lose, which is bad. So that game ended on like turn 3. The team tournament, I basically took all the easy games for my team. I was like, don't put me against anyone hard. I'm already qualified. You guys have to win your way. I didn't say that. I didn't even think that. They carried me. It was fine. And
did you tell them what your team was for the team
my team was Jeremy McClure and Greg Collinson. They're both from my WTC team. They're really good guys. Jeremy, our team strategy for the team tournament was put the Hellmouths on the table that Hellmouths went on, and it worked out. I think Jeremy won every game, and Greg won at least one game in the finals. I know that. I think he won the rest of his 2. I lost my game in the finals versus Chris Orr with 1 second left on my clock, and collectively, like a minute on his, I lost by 1 CP on the bottom of 7. The 1 CP scored that game. He killed my objective with a Blightbringer. That's how he won.
Damn.
Finally, World Ender, my round 1 was against Jake. Once again, we played on a dead scenario this time, which gave me a huge advantage. I was able to win that game with 3 seconds left on my clock and 1 second left on his. I win on army points destroyed, 11 army points. Round 2, I bottom of 1 my opponent. I played against Cody from Buffalo, I think it is. He moved Striker about an inch too far up and got a Death Jack to the face.
Ow.
The next round I played Mark. He did a bad thing to me and fished Death Jack out from behind a building and killed him, bottom of 1. But I just kind of ran Jacks into his face and won on scenario. It was fine. And then round 4, I played Billy Nichols in the finals of the World Ender. It was a really tight game. I was super exhausted and definitely didn't play it as optimally as I could. But I ended up winning. He ran out of time, but I was doing pretty well on scenario and attrition. Like, we were even on scenario, but I was going to take one of the zones at the very least. It was a really good event. I had a really good time. The hotel was really nice. We had like a really weird walled off like rest area with a couch and like a bar and stuff. It was really weird, but also nice to have a place to just hang out that isn't your bed. Besides that, the travel there wasn't too bad. Really good event. Recommended it. I'm definitely going to attend next year.
So what lists were you playing, Matt?
I played Denny 2 Black Industries. You can find the list on DGI or anything. I've taken it to every event, I think. It's Death Jack, 5 Slayers, 2 Night Wretches, and a bunch of other shit.
Yep.
And then I played Scar 3 Slaughterfleet with double Marauders, double Blood Gorgers, one of the Blood Gorgers Mind. My battle group was double Reaper, single Stalker. And you heard that right, double Reaper.
Double Reaper.
Reapers are the Jacks that have the drag gun.
Yep. They definitely are.
They also have a 2-inch reach sustain attack weapon, which is what I took them for.
Yeah.
the kind of like thought behind that list was I'm just gonna grind really hard and use my 2-inch reach to punch up over the back of my Blood Gorgers and Marauders, which is super good when you're Mat 9 power 18 or 20 with Draconic Blessing.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I actually got 2 drag assassinations with the list, which is pretty funny.
That is pretty good. Good go, Reapers.
Well, guys, that's TGX. If you have any other questions for Matt or any of us, you can always ask it on our Facebook page or find these guys on Discord because they're there 24 hours a day. George, it's time for us to gain a little focus. Today's focus, what we're going to talk about is getting better in a limited meta. Matt's done the opposite, which is he was in a limited meta and decided to get better, so fought the world.
Yeah.
However, the Moose Machine crew here is by design, we've become more and more limited as we created the pub night and really started making that shine as a main part of our week. What that does is it limits us to maximum 2 games a week.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Well, unless there's a tournament.
Unless there's a tournament or if somebody gets a chance to go to out of the box or whatever. And it means our opponent pool is actually quite small because mostly you're only going to get 3 to 4 tables in their tops.
Yeah.
And most times you're only going to get 3 people playing, and it's going to be the same people every week. Problem with that is, the problem with that is you don't improve at a level that you want. If you get a ton of games in, go to a ton of tournaments, you're going to improve on a much faster scale. But let's talk tonight about getting better at with using the limited meta. So, George, you've given us some notes on what this is about and how to do it. So I'm going to go over to you first. Is limited games that you can do to make it more impactful. So tell me what that means.
How to make each game you play impactful?
Yes. How do you do that?
Well, when you have a very limited amount of games and or time, what you have to do is make sure that absolutely every game counts. And there's a couple of things you can do that. One, if you can do it, make sure you're playing against a really good opponent, hopefully somebody better than you. Because you learn not a whole lot from a win, but you will learn a lot from a defeat, because you will see what you could have done, how you should have played, and often the person playing against you can give you a lot of help. Now, that's not always possible, especially in a limited meta. You can always... What is really great is you can always search out the shark. You can always look for whoever the best player is and try and play them. But another really great thing you can do to make a limited number of games impactful is don't take game state as final. I know that sounds weird, but what I mean is if one of you makes a horrible mistake and doesn't see it and loses the game immediately, that's not a particularly good game for either person.
Pseudobite just burned you hard. He said, if you learn a lot from defeat, George...
Should be a lot better by now.
Actually,
he burned himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing if he... Pseudobite, you're supposed to burn George. Don't you understand how this works?
Yeah.
Matt, let's go over to you. Do you have some advice for getting the most out of your games?
So I think George kind of touched on a couple things here that are super important. The first one is you have to make sure if you're playing a limited number of games, they need to be as meaningful as possible. And the way you do that is the way I practice for WTC, right? It's you rewind game state. If someone makes a mistake, you rewind it. Like, he's like, oh, I put my caster here. And you go, okay, well, if you go there, I think I kill you with this. And then they're like, okay, well, let's rewind and put my caster somewhere else. It can make games take longer, but it's important that you understand how things actually work as opposed to what happened. Like, making a mistake happens, and like you're gonna lose games to that. But getting a misrepresentation of a matchup because someone put their caster a half inch to the left when it should have been 2 inches to the right or whatever is not a good like you don't get better that way. The second thing, and I think this is really important, is having a good time when you play. If you're only playing 2 games a week, don't Don't just sit there and be like, I got to be the biggest dickhead and I got to be the biggest dick in the room. Like, play your games, have fun, treat the people you're playing with like your friends. We're all here to have fun, and no one needs to be a robot when they play. Look, like if you're not at least making some kind of inappropriate joke while you play, you're not doing it right.
That's true.
I don't think I even know how to play without making an inappropriate joke.
I play Convergence.
And I mean, like,
that is an inappropriate joke.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
continue.
I mean, like, tournament play has its place, and it's in tournaments. But when you're practicing to get better and like you're trying to push yourself, you don't need to be a robot to do it. You just need to have a goal in mind. And like, this is the other thing, is setting realistic goals for yourself. So like this year, my first goal was to make WTC, which I did. And then I was like, well, I achieved my first goal. Shit, what do I do? I guess my next goal is to win an event, like an international event, which I did. I was like, holy shit, what do I do now? Fuck, I guess I have to win a Masters. Well, I did that. Shit. I guess I have to qualify for War Machine Weekend. Oh, I did that too. And like, setting goals that are maybe not attainable in like instantly, but something you can work towards is huge. So like, if you're getting 2 games a week, maybe your goal should be, so that you win both those games on assassination or win both those games on scenario. Set a goal for how you want to win those games or how you want to play those games and achieve it. Maybe your goal this week is to play your games in 30 minutes on your clock and see how far you can get. Maybe like all of those things, little steps, little attainable goals go long ways into improving your skill as a player.
So I want to ask you this question, Jason, because you've had some experience this last weekend having to fight factions that you just knew nothing about.
Right.
Do you think it's more important to play a broader variety of players or to play a broader variety of factions?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I would think a broader variety of factions would be more important. If you have no experience playing into over half of the factions that you're going to see at a tournament, you're not really going to know what those things do when you see them on a list in front of you. So you're not going to have any idea what should I drop to play into that.
Right,
like
yeah,
I mentioned with the Immortals.
Well, to call it back, you literally said, you lost 2 of your rounds.
Yep.
Mainly because right from the start, right?
Yeah. Because I had no idea what to drop into a 2-caster pairing that I'd never seen in a faction that I've seen once in maybe 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like being able to play a variety of factions against a variety of factions is important when you want to go to a tournament and not completely embarrass yourself.
Matt, what do you think? Do you agree with that?
It depends where you are in War Machine. So I personally feel like playing against a wider variety of players is more beneficial because you see things that no one else will do. Like, one of my big problems in War Machine was that I was in my local meta, right? Like, I didn't travel anywhere. So like, I was pretty good at War Machine, but I only knew what the people locally did. So like, even though I had a pretty good spread of factions, I didn't really see the depth of all of those factions. And once I started seeing a wider meta, I started seeing how those same factions could work around problems. So like, when you only have one Legion player in your meta and he only plays the same 2 lists over and over and over again, you get used to what beats him and what like his personal problems are. You stop playing against the faction and you start playing against the player. But when you travel more, you start playing against the different tools the factions have. And like, furthermore to this point, Jason, if you had asked any of your opponents what their lists do before the game, I guarantee you all of them would have answered you.
Right.
If you had said, hey, Scorn player, what does your Zal 2 list do? How do I, what are your threat ranges? What are the interactions I need to be aware of? What do you want to do on the table? I've asked that question maybe 4 or 5 times across all my cons, and I've never had anyone answer me incorrectly or not answer me.
Okay.
Sometimes you get the, hey, here's my cards, read it for yourself.
Right.
Which is like, okay, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
But most of the time, especially good players will answer your questions because they understand. They want to beat you as a player, not like beat you because you don't understand the rules.
What they're doing. Yeah, that's fair.
Additionally, I think that a really big point here is that it's always best, and like best practice, I guess, would be to play against the players that are across from you and not against the like what you think they're going to do. So like you're playing against a Legion player and he has this army in front of him. Just because you have 1,000 games versus a Legion player in your meta doesn't mean you can 100% predict what he's going to do. So if you're not super familiar with the player and you're not familiar with what his list wants to do or any component of that, just play the game turn by turn, figure out what he wants to do and do your best to beat it.
So
I find that really interesting for two reasons. One is that I think too many of us get to the table with too many preconceived notions about what the game is going to be like, right? You get to the table and you're like, I'm playing Khador. I'm never going to be able to chew through all that meat. And then it turns out you can't hit a Def 16 Kayazi, right? Like maybe someone is playing in a different style than what you thought.
I think I'm actually the opposite. I think I get more intimidated by my opponent. Like I'm usually my problem is I usually game myself out. Like if I have to play Chris Orr, for example, which has happened, it's more of like you look up, you have to play Chris Orr, and you're like, son of a bitch, and then I just game myself out at that point.
That feeling never goes away, by the way. It doesn't matter how good you get at War Machine.
Yeah.
No matter, like, the first time you get Jake round 1, you're like, son of a bitch. as much as Jake is a great guy, it never goes away. Like, it's all you have to do is not let that affect your gameplay, right? Don't assume you're beat before the game starts.
As a really great example of that, we took with us a guy who has been to maybe 2 local tournaments.
Local steamrollers.
Yeah, local steamrollers, and this was his first big tournament. And he played against Orr, and he had Orr down to like
a minute on
clock before he timed out.
Like no, he didn't time out. It went to round 7.
In his defense,
it went to round 7.
In Matt's defense, though, he probably has no real clue he's not into the legend part because he's just bad. Okay.
He exactly knew who it was.
Matt was completely starstruck by the fact that Matt was there, Banky was there, Orr was there, Jake was there, Bubba was there.
Yeah.
He was like, I can't talk to any of these guys because I will literally probably shit myself.
And you're like these fucktards.
I was
come on,
just a bunch of douchebags.
These guys, I drank with those.
Hot garbage.
I've done lines of coke with those mother guys.
I watched Matt's game with Orr, and because I finished round 2, and Matt. So me and George have been playing against Matt.
This is not me, by the way.
No, Matt Hool.
Matt Hool, yeah.
Have been playing against Matt for probably 5 or 6 months now.
Yeah.
The only thing holding Matt back as an amazing player was he had that new player thing where he didn't want to sacrifice any of his models. And he would lose on scenario 90% of the time. So George and I were like, stop fucking doing that. Put a model in there. You're going to lose it, but it's okay because you'll contest and blah, blah, blah. He somehow clicked in on that during TGX, and he went 2-0. He went 2-0 right away. Then he got Orr, and he gave Orr a really good showing. Like, for a guy that doesn't play that much, it was 7 points to 6 for Orr on round 7. With if Hool had of Hand of Fated his conquest, I'm pretty sure he would have won that game.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it was super goddamn close.
Yeah, so...
We're going to have to wrap this up, boys. Sorry to say, because there's tons more that we could talk about in this one. Great topic. We'll definitely come back to it in the future. But, George, it's time for...
The Lightning Round.
Yay.
It's been so long. You guys haven't done a lightning round.
I'm so rusty.
Forever.
Oh, here we go, boys.
Here we go.
Now for the serious part.
The serious part of the show.
Super serious.
Where I make lots of spelling mistakes and I can't read my own writing, and then probably get the rule wrong. All right, so if you get for guests to the show, if you've never been part of the lightning round before, 10 of the hardest questions in all of War Machine, or just some crap I made up while I was eating dinner. And our 3 contestants will buzz in if they think they know the answer. Matt, of course, please also raise your hand at the same time, because sometimes these guys will drown you out.
I'll just hold it up the entire time.
It was pretty. It's pretty much their tactic to stop you from being able to answer first. And if you're playing at home, just count your own score. You don't even have to buzz in. Just try to guess the answer before these guys do, and then give yourself some points.
Which you'll probably do.
And the points don't really mean anything. Currently, I believe the champion of the Lightning
Banky.
is still
Thank
Tim
you.
Tim Banky.
Shit. Yeah, Banky.
You were doing better. I will see how you do on this particular one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the first question is, what do exhaust fumes do? Jason.
They center a 3-inch AOE on the model, and anything in that AOE takes a POW 12.
Incorrect.
Yeah, sure.
Incorrect. Anybody else want to answer? What do exhaust fumes do? Matt.
Is exhaust fumes the rule from the Kodiak? If so, it's a AoE 4. That's a cloud.
Oh shit.
No, it is not the rule from the Kodiak. This is a Crucible Guard rule.
Oh.
From the Battle Engine caster, and it is when the model advances during normal move, friendly models gain concealment. I believe it's within 3 inches. I forgot to write down the inches.
Yeah. What's the rule on the Kodiak? Vent steam.
Vent steam. That's what I was thinking too,
Yeah,
Matt.
you were thinking of vent steam, and I'm like,
And I didn't even let you answer because you're going to be like, causes death if I trap myself in the garage.
Is it a 4-inch AOE?
vent steam? Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
Question number 2. What is the name of the Allegiant Order of the Fist's stance?
Hey,
Matt.
shifting sands.
It is Shifting Sands. The Shifting Sands
I hate
stance.
those things.
See,
Go
I was
Kicky
gonna say
Monks.
crane.
Fucking kicky monks.
What does Thags 2 Athank provide him? Matt.
A lesser war beast when he is damaged.
After leeching, he gains his fury
Oh,
and fury
never mind.
points. Incorrect.
Yeah.
Incorrect. I'll give you a point, Jason.
Because I was ready to.
Yeah, you were
and
totally
you
ready.
Just totally
Yeah,
stole
I
it
totally
from
did.
me,
Yeah,
son
there
of a
you go.
bitch.
No, I'm giving you. You know what? For that, I'll give you 8 points. 8
Thank
points.
you.
8 points to Jason. I'm taking back 7 though because you're a douchebag.
That's fair.
Okay. Question number 4. Soothing song has a cost of what? Jason.
1.
It does have a cost of 1. Question number 5. Druid Mistriders carry what kind of weapon? George.
A polearm.
Incorrect. Well, it is a polearm, but there's a specific name for this
Oh, you
polearm.
didn't ask me the name. You said what type of weapon
Matt.
is it?
A cleft staff.
No, it is not a cleft staff.
A
Jason?
cleft lip.
No, it is a vulge. A vulge.
A vulge is a type of polearm.
I
Yeah,
got a
but-
bulge right now.
I'm gonna friggin' give
This
you a
is the
vulge.
worst lightning round.
Question number
It
6.
is terrible.
Question number 6. Hollow Holden's rifle has a range of what? Oh, I'm gonna have to get that one to Jason.
14 inches.
It is 14. Volume fire does what? Matt.
It
Sound like a
grants you
dying horse.
either +1 to hit against medium bases or +2 to hit against large or huge bases.
Correctamundo. Question number 8. Hakar 1 is known as Hakar the blank. Matt.
Destroyer.
It is Destroyer. Question number 9. Chain Strike gives you what? Matt.
Melee reach.
I point for that, and I'm taking it back because you sound like a dying horse. Question number 10, which is not really a Minty Fresh question of the week because Minty has completely gone AWOL on me. The Dreaming Harbinger's feat is called what? The Dreaming
That's the new one, right?
Dreamin' Harby. What's
Grim
her
Harby.
feat?
Yeah, Grim Harvey.
Grim Harby.
The name of it?
The name of her feat.
It's,
Jason.
Skew.
it's the same. It's the same as her normal feat.
Yeah.
It has the same name.
It has so Matt, do you want to guess? He's quickly scanning. He's like, "Come on, open up on War Room, you bastard!"
It's something about light. I don't fucking know.
Both hands. I want to see both hands.
Penitence of Martyrs.
No, it is not. It's called Walk into the Light. Walk into the light. All right, everybody, and the champion this week is Matt. Go ahead! Yay!
Barely. I missed all of those questions.
There was a bunch you got, and then I took away a lot of points from everybody else. So really,
Hey,
yeah,
winner by
really,
default.
really,
Yay.
when we play the lightning round, we all win. So you're all winners in my mind, except
Oh,
except for
wow.
Jason. So continuing.
I can't even.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just have a couple of shout-outs to do. Jason, would you like to talk about your favorite gaming store?
I would love to. Out of the box in Ottawa,
Oh,
Bell's
that's
Corners.
much less awkward than I thought it was going to be.
He didn't even.
Just so you know,
didn't
there's a sex store right beside. No, Out of the Box is awesome. They carry a 1-to-1 stock of everything, including all the newest models and releases. They also host local game nights on Tuesdays.
You miss them carrying every paint known to man.
They
now?
carry every paint known to man. That's
all
fact.
the GW, all the PP, all the
Vallejo. They have airbrushing supplies. They got compressors. They got if you're like even interested in anything to do with this hobby, if you're listening to this cast, chances are the shit you need is probably Out of the Box.
And the good news is that they do online orders,
They
and
do.
the shipping in Canada is free over a certain amount. Do you remember?
Yeah. $50,
50
$100.
bucks or
something like that. But under that, it's only like $12 or
It's
something.
$12, and you get it like the next day.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Go there,
and
check it
they now have all the Micro Art Studio bases.
Yes.
George,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about the place that hosts our podcast and gives us cool tokens?
Muse on Mini. They're obviously we're on their feed. If you're listening to us statistically, you are listening to us because we're on the Muse feed. Also, the tokens, the steppers. Oh my God, the steppers! I used the large base steppers about 4 times at TGX because anytime you need to get around a house, you are either stealing inches from yourself or stealing inches from your opponent.
Especially
unless
if you're
you use a
walking
stepper.
around that house to
Blessing.
kill your opponent's caster.
The last thing any of us white boys need is to lose inches.
Exactly. Grab yourself some move lines.
Jesus.
Grab
You
yourself.
can't go negative. Will,
You're
doesn't
never
work that
getting
way.
hired by Disney.
Yeah.
Like, never.
Now,
Also, I will say this: they also produce some very good tokens and widgets and stuff for the Canadian WTC team, right, Matt?
Hey, I got some shit.
it's time for you to do
Look
your
at-
WTC team shout out,
Look,
Matt.
there's shit. You can buy it. Buy my shit.
It's good shit. That should be.
It has,
That should
Cana-
be
it has
mentioned.
Canadian shit on it.
And we all
best.
know that Canada is best meta.
Yeah.
Canada
Yeah.
meta is best meta.
Super strong.
That's why JVM comes to it now.
Take that, Florida.
Canada WTC has a bunch of stuff they can sell. You can contact Chris Orr for most of it. I was just in charge of selling it locally. If you need stuff, contact us. Place an order. We have zones, widgets, sticks, focus tokens, random other shit. Buy shit.
And if we buy it, what happens with all that money, that ill-gotten loot?
That sweet, sweet lucre.
It pays to send us to Poland.
Ooh. And we've been trying to get rid of you guys for... Oh, wait. Is it a round-trip ticket?
No, they got to pay for the way back.
Yeah, so I mean, it's proceeds go. It's fundraising, right? So anything you contribute helps to send the 15 of us to Poland. Remember, it is split 15 ways.
Yeah.
So
Well, you guys better
That's
do
a-
goddamn
that's a
good
lot
work
of
over there.
widgets.
That's what I'm saying. No pressure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up for this evening because it is 9:02. Thank you to all of the people who joined us on the chat. Remember that we broadcast live every couple of weeks. We do a couple other shows as well on the off weeks, as well as from time to time we have to take some time off. But we are back. We are loud. We are going to be doing this a lot more often in the next coming months, mainly because I'm not traveling anymore. Whoop,
Yeah,
whoop, whoop.
that's good.
So that's it from us, everybody. Thank you, Matt, for joining us on the live show.
Thanks, Matt.
Tune in next week.
hey,
George, hit that button.
Dice down.
Oh, I didn't get my passport yet.
Moose Machine and This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning.
Working
You
on
can
it.
watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just
think I still
Google
have the
Moose
outro.
Machine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.
Why's everybody so quiet?
Man, that was super sour.
Yeah, it was,
Beer is good,
it
but
was really
it was,
good. What's that called? Ghost.
Yeah, by Collective.
It's one
Project,
O
Collective
from
Arts.
Goose.
Yeah, it's weird. Ghosts. I
Ghosts.
don't know. I don't know enough about it. I just buy their beer because